And here's the thing. There are some that are the holdouts. There are some parts of the media that just don't get it. There's some parts of the media that can't just acknowledge that they suck. And one of those is Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta is an asshole. I think he is, based on what I saw when he was the White House correspondent for CNN during the Trump administration. And I'll call that to him straight to his face. He's an asshole. He's rude. He's not polite. He's a jerk. And he's wrong a lot of the time. Now, I reserve certain words for people who I feel very confident when I use those words towards. I feel confident that my assessment is right. Like when I say Adam Schiff is evil, I really do mean that. Adam Schiff is a very evil person. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people on the Democrat side of the aisle and the Republican side of the aisle that think Adam Schiff is evil. So here's Jim Acosta lying. I know there's no shock there. Lying on CNN. Check this out about immigration.
Jim, admit that 13,099 murders have been led into this country. That's
Corey,
4 murderers for every single county in America. You don't think that
Corey,
that's a problem?
Border crossings are down and crime is down in this country. But
crime is not down in this country. The FBI
I asked you at the
lied,
beginning
Jim,
of this interview, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? I just asked you whether Haitian migrants are eating dogs and cats in Springfield. You won't admit the truth on either of those questions. I
Jim,
want to ask you about something
that 13,000 murders have come into the country?
13,000 number is false, by the way. The 13,000 number is false.
Why is it false, Jim? If the government's own data says that, CBP's own data put this out last week. So why do you say it's false if the government put out? By the way, this is the Biden-Harris administration who put out.
The government also says border crossings are down.
But Jim, you just said that was a false number. How do you get to that? What data do you have that says Customs and Border Protection is wrong?
Yeah, I also want to ask you about something that Trump said.
No, but Jim, you just said it was wrong. But admit it, Jim.
Franco, clip that. Clip that. Damn. Well, that's a fake number. That's not real. Oh, it gets worse between them two. It gets worse.
Jim, I can say that 13,099 murderers were let into this country, 16,000 rapists, 425,000 people in the last 4 years have been let into this country by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's own Customs and Border Protection that are running around this country, Jim.
The other thing, too, it's Kamala Harris.
Crimes.
I don't know. Why do you guys say Kamala? That is, it's Kamala Harris.
Jim, we know that they're committing crimes against Americans. Why?
The dude's talking about murderers, Jim. Well, why do you sit there and call her a different name?
Why can't these individuals talk about the individuals who've been killed by illegal immigrants? 13,099 murderers have been let into this country by this administration's own accounting, and you guys don't want to talk about it. You know what I can say, Jim?
Correct. Correct. They don't want to talk about the issue. We call it out all the time, right? Why was this not brought up during the debate? Any debate, by the way. They talked about the crossings about the border, right? That was really it, right? And the way they even framed those questions were just a total bias in favor of the Harris-Walz campaign. Why did they not talk about the 320,000 children that J.D. Vance brought up? Weird that they were sold off into forced labor, into sex trafficking. You know, they're turned into mules, drug mules. Why were they not talking about that? Why didn't we want to bring that up? Why didn't we want to bring up the fact that that number was just released before the debate, that there was over 13,000 murderers, convicted murderers, by the way. Not just like, oh, maybe they are. No, they are. Why was that not brought up? Weird. Why is it not brought up that 250,000 Americans are dying from fentanyl because of Kamala Harris's handling at the border? Why was that not brought up? Why was it not brought up that Kamala Harris voted in my home state of California many years ago to confiscate firearms? Why was that not brought up? Why was it not brought up that the Biden-Harris administration, speaking of censorship, wanted to implement the Ministry of Truth to be headed by DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, the same guy that lied to Congress? Why was that not brought up? Why was it not brought up that there's a massive cover-up by the legacy media, the Democrat Party, and Kamala Harris to sit there and cover up Joe Biden's cognitive decline? Why was that not brought up? Speaking of all these court cases, right, the legality, January 6th, the election fraud, why was it not brought up that Kamala Harris's brother-in-law allegedly is embezzling taxpayer money? Why was that not mentioned? Why was it not mentioned that she had no take on the Biden family corruption, allegedly taking money from all their shell companies, specifically from China, Romania, and Ukraine? Why was that never brought up? But we'll talk about things that happen. Well, no, we want to talk about things that happened years ago, right? Democrats, we want to sit there and only talk about things that push your narrative. But we don't want to talk about things that make you guys look bad and the Biden-Harris campaign. Or now, the Harris-Walz campaign. Really weird, isn't it? Huh. Or the fact that they said they want to remove all semi-automatic firearms. You know, they wanted to bring up Donald Trump's quotes, right? They're really quick. Well, Donald Trump tweeted this. Donald Trump said that. Why don't you pull out their old quotes? Why don't you pull out the former president's quotes, meaning, I guess, well, not former president, but I guess the president, Joe Biden. I'm already trying to get this guy out of office in my head. That's how bad it is. Well, you have that guy smacking Jim Acosta upside his damn head, right? Awesome clip. Just awesome couple clips. Well, we got another one for you because Scott Jennings is here, just letting loose on CNN, baby.
Vance outclassed Walz tonight. I mean, I was watching this and all I could think of was, man, Walz is so. Imagine this guy sitting in the White House Situation Room with that facial expression that's like 50% sheer terror and 50% extreme bafflement. I mean, it was amazing, the split screen difference between a competent Vance and a totally in over his head Walz. The answer on why he lied about his trips to China and the Tiananmen Square thing was probably the worst VP debate meltdown since Stockdale in '92. You know, who am I and why am I here? It was.
Holy shit. Scott. Oh, I had to pause it. I'm sweating. The dude is just, you know, at the end of the round in a boxing match, when you're just like throwing haymakers, you got like 30 seconds left. You're like, fuck, 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 fuck. That's basically what Scott's doing here. In his earpiece, Scott, you got a minute. He's like, oh shit, okay, I got to kick these guys' ass.
2.5 minutes of absolute terrible. For Vance, night of redemption. All the political media has told us that Vance was a terrible pick and Walz was going to bring in all these voters. That charade is now over. Walz does not belong at this level of American politics. Vance does. Final verdict, Tim Walz wandered into the wrong bar tonight.
Dude, Scott Jennings is a beast. The dude's amazing. I couldn't be more excited to be able to present that clip to you, Patriots. I was like a giddy schoolgirl yesterday when I was preparing for the show. Like I was like Joe Biden on the beaches of Delaware, kicking my little feet in the sand. Ooh! Again. Hold on. Oh, that's the best we can do? No, it's not. Remember how he brought up the side-by-side? Scott Jennings brought up the side-by-side between the two. Silly wabbit. So we have Donald Trump's new press secretary. I guess new. She's been around for a while. But, you know, she has big shoes to fill. She has to fill Kayleigh McEnany's shoes. And Kayleigh McEnany might go down as the best White House press secretary in United States history. Ever. And thank God she was on our side. So here she rolls out. Well, I'll just let her speak for herself.
Of polls that came out last night showing that undecided voters and the American people definitely thought Senator Vance performed better than Governor Walz, and they trust Senator Vance and President Trump to lead on the issues that matter to them at home, because Senator Vance and both President Trump talk about those issues on the campaign trail every single day. The inflation that is decimating the savings of hardworking families, the border crisis that has led to an invasion of more than 20 million illegal people. Governor Walz couldn't answer the question last night of whether he and Kamala Harris will support mass amnesty for the more than 425,000 convicted criminal illegal aliens that we currently have in this country on their watch. He was in a tough spot, having to try to explain away the failures of Kamala Harris's policies over the past 4 years. Americans know she and Joe Biden are the reason that they are struggling and they are suffering, and that only a change ticket and Senator Vance and President Trump will bring real change and real solutions to this country.
She's good. And I love that she's getting a lot of screen time in the sense of interviews time to really hash out Donald Trump's policies and get comfortable going against the media, because that's what she's going to have to do once she's on that podium in the White House press briefings. And we'll be here to cover that on the Bald Brad Show when Trump gets elected. You're damn right I said when, not if, when.
They fact-checked Senator Vance and shut off his mic. I thought that was pretty alarming, especially since the rules they agreed to were not to fact-check the candidates on the stage, but they just could not help themselves because I think they were getting triggered by Senator Vance speaking the truth so powerfully and so eloquently, not only effectively tackling Governor Walz on that stage for his lies, but also pushing back against the mainstream media's lies on so many issues. It didn't matter, though. Again, Senator Vance did an incredible job of tackling those anchors' bias, of relaying the truth about the issues that matter, and speaking directly to voters at home.